the button is pressed. So, welcome everyone. On our fourth day of the conference, the last and the most important. And many of us have found this room. That means that we can start the conference session. This session is until 9 o'clock scheduled, and we have 3 talks. We're running a bit late, now it's already 20 past. So let's agree that we can go a little bit in the coffee break, but still, let's stick to 15 minutes per talk. And this session is co-chaired by me, Elena from Latvia, and Narendra from India. And I have my greatest pleasure also to invite Narendra as the first speaker of the session. And the talk is integrating multimodal teaching strategies into STEM education, reflections from pre-service and in-service teacher workshop experiences. So please, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everything is okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Today we are as thank you, Chair, Professor Elena, for introduction. I, Narendra, I was working at Homi Bhabha Centre for Science Education. Just now I have superannuated from Homi Bhabha Centre for Science Education. Basically, in Homi Bhabha Centre, more than 34 years, I was involved in science education, teacher education, research and material development. Dr. Sandhya ma'am?
Yeah. I actually post-graduated in marine zoology, and then as I was retiring, and I taught in a college in Mumbai, India. For about 37 years, I taught biology over there. And when I was retiring, I did PhD in mangroves. So it is a zigzag journey for me from one area to other area. And then after retirement, I worked in Homi Bhabha Science Center where Dr. Deshmukh is working. We worked on, we conducted various workshops which were mainly on teacher education. We conducted workshops for the teachers for teaching biology effectively in the classrooms and make the subject interesting. So that was the area. And recently I am actually giving coaching for the underprivileged children in villages in India, where I give online coaching to them. And in my native village, I interact with the primary children. I learn from them, and I'm continuing my research over there. So
okay. Thank you. I will, if time permit, I will explain a little bit more about various associations where I am working. But let me start sharing our experiences. Basically, these experiences are not only 1 year. It's more than 6 years we are working on this multimodal instructional pedagogy, which we would like to present. But here we are sharing with you 2 major work which we carried in service as well as in pre-service. Okay. The intention is basically, if you see our National Education Policy 2020, which focus on multidisciplinary education, higher order skills, experiential learning, technology integration. Technology integration is also highlighted in our National Education Policy. I think technology integration is not new since more than you can say, if you just imagine that even the paper pencil or the blackboard and chalk, that may be a technology that time, I think so. And then ICT, introduction of information and communication technology, and then now we are because of the industrial revolution in the era of 4th or fifth you can say. We are now discussing about more on AI, then VI, AI, different types of simulation, animation, IoT, all these things we are discussing. But at the same time, hands-on lessons is also important, and I think the workshop yesterday conducted by the school, which was really, you can say, engage all of us, and we tried our best how to make it, and the similar experiences students also taking, and that's a real enjoyment for them. And I think hands-on also we have to think how our learner will be more and more engaged in hands-on activities. So basically, in the context of STEM education, we have certain issues definitely. How to basically assess all these science, technology, engineering, mathematics, or STEAM nowadays we are using. But at the same time, if you see different approaches, pedagogical approaches, or if it's teaching approaches, problem-based learning, or interdisciplinary projects, or situatory approaches, or work-integrated learning, the research suggests that all these things are very effective in STEM education. And as I said, basically we work with the teacher, also we work with the student of school level. Basically, school level means grade 3 to grade 9, you can say, because grade 10 we have a board exam, and similarly grade 12 also we have a board exam, and students are not that much focused on such type of activities. Their focus is only on exam and getting good score for their future admission. And at the same time, professional development is a key improving, and I think that's why yesterday we had a discussion about how we help different teacher association, different NGOs, different system, because in education we don't have a support system which support the teachers in their teaching learning. And similarly, high quality teaching is linked to strong educational outcomes. That's the accepted fact. And multimodal teaching addresses diverse learner needs. So basically, in our presentation, we are trying that how interdisciplinary approaches, different approaches, which promote critical thinking, creativity, problem solving. At the same time, it prepares students for a real world and technology driven challenges, to face the technology driven challenges. And from education point of view, we all are aware that our learners are very diverse learners. They comes with their own, you can say, learning style. Each and every learners have a different space of, you can say, understanding or learning. These are the different learning styles. I am not going, because you all are aware of these styles. And mostly in our school education, I am talking on, let me again, school education focuses more on cognitive domain, not on affective domain or kinesthetic domain. That is also an issue. And in that context, definitely when we are doing some activity, it helps from lower order thinking to higher order thinking in a cognitive domain. But at the same time, these other domains are also important, and I think through this such type of activity which help them instructional learning, that's the point. Then multimodal, why? Because actually in classroom teaching, teachers are using different ways also. They are not a monotonous. Different things are there, but still because of the certain issue which we are discussing, it also need again and again some sort of visual, auditory, kinesthetic then textual elements. All these things are very important, and because of a lot of theoretic, I think we are aware about the constructivist theories, sociocultural theories, and then UDL and dual coding theory, which suggests that we need certain types of activities that focus more on to enhance skills and competencies of the learner, particularly at the school level, which are very essential for their future. Here, teacher education and professional development, no doubt, that's important because they are the main field, you can say, transferring content, and the transformation of content to the learner, it needs a lot of, you can say, middle things, which are basically, because learning is a mental process, and which need not only, you can say, different types of visual representations are needed, and lot of involvement, active, because learning is an active and social process. So considering all these things, we have to do different activities in and that's the focus of digital integration or technology integration in a multimodal strategies. And here for our study, we have used this theoretical framework, multimodal creative inquiry framework, which is giving how it will help learner to engage. Because why we are doing? Because Generation Z learners demand multimodal technology integrated teaching. Their learning span is not that much, very short learning span, and now because of this lot of technological development, student or learner get disturbed. So to engage them, to help them to say for sense making, these things are very important. And similarly, the 21st century skills are little different, and for that also these things are necessary. For this study purpose, we have two questions. How do multimodal teaching approaches influence the pedagogical practices and perception of in-service and pre-service STEM educator? And again, what challenges and opportunities arise during the implementation of multimodal teaching strategy in STEM education? Now, Sandhya ma'am will explain the methodology, the activities which we conduct.
So we conduct the workshops for pre-service and in-service teachers, and that workshop were on role play and play-doh modeling to promise engagement. Workshops held in India and Malaysia. So we conducted one workshop in India for this study purpose and one in Malaysia, and the results are based on these two things. Now, two workshops were conducted, each workshop of 1 day for pre-service, which was in Malaysia, and post-service teachers, which was in India, addressing different learning styles. So, first sample, which was from India, it consists of 34 in-service teachers from Panvel, India, and second sample, which was there for 56 pre-service teachers from Malaysia. Participants were selected through purposive sampling based on voluntary participation and feasibility within the scope of international collaboration. Though not statistically representative of all the teachers in either country, the sample was chosen to reflect use of experience, education levels relevant to the study's qualitative aims. The data was collected through feedback forms for preparation of the training, relevance of strategies, confidence in using them, and suggestions of improvement. Then presentation notes for documentation of planning, objectives and reflections, and semi-structured interviews with 15 participants, 9 in-service, 6 pre-service for insights into challenges, impacts and transferability of strategies. Interviews lasted for about 20-30 minutes and were recorded with the consent of the participants, and these instruments were previously validated and tested for reliability. The descriptive qualitative study examined the impact of multimodal teaching strategies on participants. Content analysis was employed to analyze diverse data types, including feedback forms, presentation notes, and semi-structured interview transcripts. This method was chosen for its suitability in interpreting both verbal and non-verbal data and its flexibility in addressing varied research questions. Now, research results and discussion. Multimodal teaching engages students through multiple communication modes, improves students' engagement and understanding, increases their confidence to create interactive STEM lessons. Deeper understanding of the subject helped in transition from teacher-centered to student-centered classroom, improves retention through use of multiple senses, multiple teaching styles, eases complex science concepts, thereby increasing understanding and retention of topics, and makes learning as well as teaching more fun as it encourages participation of each one. So actually in this complete research is based on the two activities. As I told you earlier, we conducted a number of activities in this Homi Bhabha Science Center, and many times teachers used to come there, stay there for about a week and so on. Every day we used to conduct different sessions, and sometimes we go to the schools and many times in the tribal areas where actually the tribal schools are there in the forest area, and then we used to conduct these activities for the teachers over there. So Play-Doh activity, though it looks like very simple and not very significant for most of the people, but for these children who are actually studying in the tribal schools and all, they cannot afford the Play-Doh which you get outside, and therefore what we did was we made the Play-Doh out of the basic things which were available over there, like rice flour or all-purpose flour, little oil and water, and the colors which they used was like turmeric, beetroot and other flowers and vegetables which they got around. And that is how they made the Play-Doh themselves and made the different models themselves. So it is like usually we give Play-Doh to very small kids, but here the teachers teaching in the secondary schools also, we ask them to make the models for animal systems and other complicated, where they can learn the concepts of biology which are otherwise it takes time to explain in the class. And the other activity, which is role play activity, which was conducted, it was actually based on one very popular TV program which was in India, and it was based on this health issues. So where in that program there is to be one interviewer, one or two doctors, and they is to take the questions from the viewers and they would answer them so that the public is actually educated for particular health issues. So as that popularity we catch, and we conducted the workshop for the teachers, where the participants were actually divided into different groups of 5 to 6 on one table, and we gave them a theme like one particular disease. Because that particular I selected, because when I was teaching in a higher secondary college over there were certain topics for all of us, we teachers used to discuss that it is a dry topic, like diseases were dry topic, and then students used to just study that just to get the marks. But the purpose of including such things so that there should be awareness among the students. So that topic was selected for this activity, and each table was given each disease as a theme, and in each group they were given 20 minutes to prepare that particular disease or particular system, and they can refer textbooks or anything and prepare the topic, and the interviewer they have to decide who is the interviewer in that group. Interviewer will ask the questions how it is there on the TV program, and the doctors will answer, and everything should be which should be for that syllabus. It should not go beyond the syllabus. It can go, but then main focus is on the syllabus so that they should study.
Yeah.
And the patients also were there. Yeah, they were actually patients will ask the questions, and the whole discussion explains the particular topic. That was the idea of that.
Yeah, basically during this role play, various socio-scientific issues also taken. Yesterday we discussed on that. Can you explain the responses of the participants first? Because we don't have a time.
Yeah, there are various responses. The main one I will take here, like Play-Doh. Which is what you get in the market is you have to watch the children doing, so that by mistake they should not put it here. It was eco-friendly. Even it goes into the environment, the birds also eat it, other animals eat it. It is not harmful. So that was actually a reaction of the teachers, and they actually enjoyed the complete the activity as such.
Okay. Another.
Yeah, and then.
Teacher.
There are challenges also. There are challenges like as we have huge population, everybody knows in our country. So in the classrooms, many times there are minimum 50 students, or sometimes there are 80, and if it is junior higher secondary, it can be more also. So it is such activities not easy to conduct in such classrooms, and because the students go out of control, the class goes out of control, and secondly, the classroom becomes noisy and you disturb the other classes. So that is one of the challenges. So, and what we observed that, though we have a framework, we were told them that this is how you are supposed to conduct the activity. But then, what was pleasing that the teachers use their own imagination, and they used to have their own activities there. So that was expected, that they were not expected to do exactly what we told. They were expected to use their own imagination, own ideas, and that was actually there. And that is how this role play activities, they are actually very effective as they are there.
Yeah, basically these multimodal teaching are very useful for STEM education. Whatever we are expecting, challenges and opportunities definitely are there. Learner diversity, which we are discussing, I think to some extent such type of approaches, multimodal approaches, will help to deal with this learner diversity, and definitely it helps for professional development. These are the key findings: enhance engagement, confidence building, collaborative learning, because students are working in a group and they can share their experiences, they can present their ideas, and challenges already discussed, which I am not discussing. This part is also I am not discussing. Let me acknowledge everything is under control, because of that it's very difficult, and we are grateful for the participation of 34 and 56 teachers and entire organizing team of this event. And thank you, everything is under control. Because I have to share the next session. Elena, thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Leadership. I think only Angela can explain the role of leader.
Are you sure?
Yes, Professor Angela.
Yeah. I don't know what happened today and last night, but anyway, there's just so much to be done. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for the attention. Let me say that. I'm not saying under control, I'm saying attention. So obviously,
It's
I think
absolutely different. Absolutely different.
Another
approach.
So I think what we always work with in science education and when we are presenting, etc., we're always looking at teaching and learning strategies, we're looking at content. We're also always focusing on how we can be teaching differently. What are the concerns and the issues with learners, etc. I do not think that we focus on leadership per se. Because if we're looking at our current context, I'm not reading out all the names, etc. But if we look at our current context, there's so much that is happening within the world. And the word change is something that is so significant. So we are all part of a particular project that's called DACAR. And you can see that when we started the project, and it's going to end this year. And for your benefit, Stamactus, it's a grant, Erasmus Plus. And there are 6 countries involved, as you can see all the project members. But essentially, DACAR is an acronym for Designing Higher Education Curricula for Agility, Resilience, and Transformation. So you may say, why agility, resilience, and transformation, you know? And think about the changes that are currently happening in the world. And when we think about VUCA, V-U-C-A, a lot of people do not even have an idea of what VUCA is. So the volatility, the uncertainty, complex and ambiguous context that we are actually currently experiencing. And we can never say that what happened last year, we understand what's going to happen in 2 years' time, or even in a month's time. And obviously, with all the developments that are taking place, we, within our particular group, are working on 3 work packages. And you'll notice that the 3 work packages, the one is about curriculum design itself. How do we go about designing curricula? And we have developed a particular tool which has a template, and there are 9 components within that tool, within that template. And anybody can take that template and design the curricula using those 9 components. And that is done by the university in Iceland. Curriculum resilience is done by the partners in France. And you can see we have designed a game where we play in this game, we play and we look at what are the risks involved in curriculum design, curriculum implementation, how then do we counteract all these risks or threats which come into that particular curriculum. At UKZN, there are 3 of us involved. It is Cecile, Macdonald and myself. They are both in the business school and I'm within the School of Education. So you can already see the connection. And our concern is about curriculum transformation. So in order for us to be able to not even survive, but be able to teach and to learn and to grow in this context of VUCA, with this volatility, our curriculum transformation is essentially important. So you can see what the idea is with regard to all the goals, with regard to all the work packages. Okay? So models and processes. So by the time this project ends, we're going to have so many different materials, we're going to have so many different models and tools for people to be able to use within the higher education context. So we know that within our context, STEAM education is really important for us to look at the creativity and the development of people. So innovation is important, but how can we get there if our teaching and if our approach is a mundane one and only focused on STEM, for example? So there has to be this transition to the STEAM as well. And what we need to understand is that in order for that to take place, curricular reforms have to happen. Now, how do we bring about those curriculum reforms? And that is why we then have to say, in order for changes to take place, we have to take into account who are these teachers that we are working with? What is their understanding of not just the content, but how to not even just teach, but it's about how learning actually takes place. Because I think in the past we focused too much on how I'm teaching, and yet we're not focusing on how the learners are learning. And I think what is important is leadership as a social process that enables individuals to work together to achieve results that they could never achieve working alone. So within ourselves, we have to think about how does leadership actually fit in. So within our work, within UKZN with curriculum transformation, we've looked at DAC, which is direction, alignment, and commitment, which is one of the foci of leadership. And if you look at DAC, with direction, you can quite clearly see that everybody within that group needs to understand what's the vision, and they must have a clear direction as to how they're going to achieve that particular, or those goals, not that particular. And then aligning, bringing people together so that everybody knows what they are doing and why what is happening in other parts of the organization. You know, so as a teacher, I always say that we are all leaders. Even a child of 5 years old is a leader. And people say, nah, that can never be the case. There's got to be a leader and these are the followers. No. We've got to move away from that thinking. And we have to understand that in order for change to take place, everybody has to have an understanding. Then it's commitment. What is it that we are all working towards? How is it that we are going to be achieving that as well? So obviously looking at the curriculum transformation, STEM education, we have to take into account direction, alignment, and the commitment for success. And obviously everybody has to have some idea of how that takes place. Okay, so the research focus, we obviously looked at all the different literature with regard to that, especially looking at STEAM education, and you can see what types of methods were employed there, and what is the gap that we have looked at with regard to that as well. And this study obviously offers pertinent aspects to be considered in leadership in the context of STEAM. Furthermore, it's STEAM in the context of VUCA. The volatility, the uncertainty, and the complexity, etc. What is the research aim? To explore the role of leadership in curriculum transformation and derive implications for STEM in higher education. Some culture, you can read through that very quickly, and I think what is important, you can see that there were 30 people that were involved in this, and they came from obviously our partners, and we all met in Durban at the end of January this year. Oh my, it was so busy. But anyway, we had an absolutely fantastic in-depth workshops that we had together. And what was important, it was hybrid. So it wasn't just the people, it was everybody else from the respective sites. The two issues that we looked at particularly, the three. What leadership problems are experienced? I hope you noticed three, not two, three. What leadership problems are experienced in effecting curriculum transformation? How does leadership impede transformation? And how does leadership enable transformation? And with any changes in any organization, it's the leadership that matters. Okay? The interactive tool that we used is Mentimeter, and I'm quite sure we all understand and know what Mentimeter is, and if you don't, you can download it. It's just a fantastic tool for teaching, and that's an explanation, and the thematic analysis is what we looked at. Okay, so here, if you're looking at what leadership problems are experienced in effecting curriculum transformation, you can clearly see that the big letters are the most common. So everybody could give, there were 30 people, they could give 3 responses, and you can clearly see which ones were the most significant that had to be taken into account. Communication, bureaucracy, And obviously if you're looking at resistance to change, change management, resistance to change, notice it comes up twice because the spelling of resistance is different. And these are the issues, those are the problems that are experienced. So we have to now consider in any change management type of transformation that we are looking at with regard to curricula, those are the issues that we have to consider. So these are the responses that came from the 30 people. How does leadership enable curriculum transformation? Notice engagement, which is the biggest. At the same time, you can have all the engagement under the earth, or in the earth, or whatever. But if you don't have funding to facilitate those particular processes and having direction, etc., it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So one of the things, quite clearly you can see clear vision and strategy, to recognize involvement. And I'm quite sure you've been through so many different changes within your organizations. We are currently going through now, I think since I started at the university, this is probably the 5th change that we're going through, to be implemented on the 1st of July when we get back. And it's a complete overhaul of everything within our university. And it happened from beginning of last year. Am I? Okay, yeah. But he's the chair. He's the chair, not you. Okay. How does leadership impede curriculum transformation? Resistance to change. Okay? Lack of vision. So you can quite clearly see these are the important aspects that we have to take into consideration. Linda? So now in the conclusion, we've only put one point there. We would like to know from you, what are some of the other things that you think we should be putting in that conclusion, based on what I have just presented? So yes, it's a complex process. What else would you say?
Everything in our life is a continuum. If we have on the top leadership, on the other hand, we have losers, leadership and losers. What is in between?
Okay. Any other comment? What else should be there? Lucas, what would you say?
I'm not a leadership mood, so I don't know.
But you live. You have leadership even in your family. And in
No.
Yes, you do. With the partner, you have leadership.
We have saying that I'm doing international affairs at home, but what to do with money, with time, that's my wife.
But seriously, what would be other comments? Yes, Narendra.
Basically, sometimes why you are saying complex process, because everyone have their own agenda, their own perceptions, and if you considering nation-wise, their own socio-political issues are also involved. So it's not a simple way, the process which you are discussing. Flexibility is very important in this aspect. That's my understanding.
And that's why the DACAR, the A, is also for agility. And we have to consider that as well. So thank you so much, everybody. I think that's all that we have to say. And scan me and you'll get to know what our DACAR project is all about. Agility, resilience, and transformation in curriculum design. If there are any materials you'd like to get, yes, we will be very happy to actually share that with you as well.
It's available online or?
Yeah. Some of the materials not, you'll have to contact directly.
Okay.